Hello all YouTubers, I'm the Weather Dude. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you all for tuning back into another weather presentation for June 29th, 2020. Before I get on with today's video, however, I would ask that every single one of you please smash that subscribe button and ring the bell notifications. Thank you guys so much for 600 subscribers. Let's get to our next goal of 700 subscribers and to our next long-term goal of the big 1,000. So please smash that subscribe button and ring the bell notifications, as well as watching the whole video. Both of these things really do support my channel, and watching the whole video, it's a win-win. You get the best weather content and I get the watch time, which I really do need for my channel. And please also like and share this video. Thank you. Now let's get on with today's video. So today we're going to be talking about a severe weather threat for the northern plains. But before because I wanted to show you the Storm Prediction Center map first, but before I do, I want to explain to you the categories in case you don't quite know how the categories work. So when I do show you the map, you guys will be able to understand it better. Alright, so the first level, technically, that very light green shade just means thunderstorms. That means no risk of severe weather. No severe storms are expected. But that dark green that's where we start to scale for real. That's where we have a 1. And that's a marginal. And that's where we can see isolated severe thunderstorms. Usually their duration is limited. Usually they don't last that long. If you're in that dark green zone, usually the coverage might be a little bit limited. The intensity might be limited a little bit. But it is still a severe thunderstorm nonetheless. You will still see patchy or isolated severe thunderstorms. And severe thunderstorm is classified wind gust at least 58 miles an hour and or hail of 1 inch in diameter plus and or a tornado. So basically you can have winds of 58 miles an hour. You can have hail, you have a tornado, you can have all three, but that's how you but those wind gusts, one of the important ones, the wind gust of 58 miles an hour really classifies as severe storm. In terms of our convective outlook for today, all right, here's marginal, all right, that's the one I just showed you, and here's slight. All right, so western North Dakota, northwestern South Dakota, eastern Montana are in a slight risk. What does slight risk mean? That means scattered severe thunderstorms. So isolated means very, very, it's just very hard to get the storm because it's very isolated or very, I don't know how to describe it. It's like very patchy. Like it's really hard to get. You have to be in a pinpoint location to be able to get it. Scattered means it's a little bit more widespread, but they're still scattered in nature. They're still, hard to get. But if you do get the thunderstorm, it's short-lived and or it's not widespread, but there will be some isolated, very intense storms embedded within that. So that's the slight risk that we have today for western North Dakota. Tornado risk could be 5% for the northwestern part of the state. So, but thankfully, North Dakota isn't too much of a populated area. Williston, North Dakota is the one town that's in that area. About 40,000 people are in a 5% chance for tornado risk. About 110,000 people within that 2% risk. So, totally about 150,000 people under that tornado threat. But in terms of severe weather, we do have a lot of people in some severe weather today. Potentially over 14.5 million people could be impacted by severe weather today. Tomorrow, all right, we start to see the marginal threat for the southeast. All right, also, but like we're focusing on today, the northern plains, that little slight area grows now. So now that includes northeastern Nebraska, eastern South Dakota, eastern North Dakota, and central North Dakota as well. But potentially 34.3 million people could be infected by severe weather tomorrow. All right, and that means whether you're in that dark green area, not the light green, just the dark green and the yellow specifically. Those are the two regions, and embedded within that, about 34.3 million people. So let's go to the NAM model. All right, so I'll go through the NAM model, kind of go through the severe weather maps, and then we'll take a look at the Weather Prediction Center maps. We take a look at our excessive rainfall risk, and then we'll switch over to high resolution model. So here's an NAM3CAM model. We're going to be focusing on today and tomorrow, and you can see that the threat could even be coming in. This could be like more of an overnight thing. Could be more of an overnight severe weather threat because take a look. This is 11 p.m. We're starting to see some thunderstorms spark through North Dakota, through Montana, through Wyoming. All right, so we're starting to see some storms spark, but they really get their act together here. Take a look at 2 a.m. North Dakota really getting a big cluster, almost like a bow echo. More like a bow echo line of thunderstorms here. We do even have some stronger storms for eastern like north central Minnesota, northwestern Wisconsin too. All right, but the thunderstorm threat does actually linger into the morning, although you can see they do lose their strength by morning. But we still do have some stronger thunderstorms across the northern plains. All right, And then as we get through the day tomorrow, this is 5 p.m. and notice the threat really spikes again. South central North Dakota, north central South Dakota, as well as eastern South Dakota into Minnesota that's a really intense area of thunderstorms there. And it's not too isolated. It's more of a scattered threat, like I was discussing earlier. But you can see here's another line of storms moving through. Here's another bow echo kind of line that's moving this way. All right, and this is by 8 p.m. on Tuesday. All right, so let's take a look at those dew point temperatures because we know when you get that rainfall, you had that really hot and humid atmosphere. And I say we definitely have it. Take a look. The dew points, and keep in mind, this is near Canada. Our dew points will be getting near 80 degrees Fahrenheit. Not our temperatures, our dew point temperatures. All you need for a humid atmosphere is really 65-degree dew points. That's when it starts to feel really humid. And even 70 and higher is just completely oppressive. We're going to talk about dew point temperatures near 80 degrees. All right, that is very, very excessive here. 79 is the highest I can find for northern part of South Dakota. So dew points are very high, and you got this moisture from the Gulf of Mexico. We may even have some Pacific moisture in there thanks to the subtropical jet, but mainly some Gulf of Mexico moisture. We know the Gulf of Mexico is pretty warm right now. Still, we got some 78-degree dew points as we head through tomorrow afternoon at 2 p.m. But you can see that once those thunderstorms clear their way through, we lose those 70-degree dew points. The dew points drop to more in the 60s. It's a little bit more comfortable, but what's really comfortable is all the green and the brown back here. That's the really comfortable air. That slightly cooler air. It's more dry. It's not as humid. I mean, we don't mind warmer temperatures or hotter temperatures. We just don't like when it's humid because that just makes it feel even worse. Let's take a look at the surface-based cape because we need that instability in the atmosphere to really get those thunderstorms going. And the storms will be starting overnight tonight, and we'll have the repeated threat tomorrow afternoon. But take a look. This is 5 p.m. this afternoon. Take a look at how high our cape values are. All right, and this region, keep in mind, can see some pretty dangerous tornadoes because it's all plains. All right, and those areas I really do see the tornadoes here. So, and this area is just the air convergence really can set up for a tornado. 5,800 joules per kilogram is basically near the top of the scale almost. I mean, that's over here. All right, so we do have a really high instability. We have really high instability values in the atmosphere to really get those thunderstorms going. But notice, overnight, we start to calm it down a little bit, and then tomorrow, it all fires back up again. And the instability values are right here. Southwest Minnesota all the way down through northeastern Kansas. So today and tomorrow are going to be the two big days that we see our severe weather. If we take a look at the shear, because the shear really gets that hail and the tornadoes really spinning, but we need to have wind shear and also those turning of the winds with height to really spin to make that thunderstorm really rotate. All right, so take a look. Now, if the wind shear was coming behind the thunderstorm, if the wind shear was coming after the thunderstorm is over, that reduces the tornado threat because we want the wind shear to be here when the thunderstorm is here because then it really helps it to spin. Because if the wind shear comes when the thunderstorm is over, what's the point? You know, so we do have some higher wind shear values in southwestern North Dakota, and keep in mind that's when the thunderstorms are going to be hitting overnight tonight. So the wind shear is here right on time. All right, and if we take a look at tomorrow, all right, let's look at tomorrow at 8 p.m. Here you are. Got some higher wind shear values in western South Dakota if we get some thunderstorms firing there, as well as eastern South Dakota and western Minnesota, like I showed you guys earlier. Now, in terms of the supercell composites, do we really have those chances for some supercells? And yeah, I say we do. All right. This is tonight, overnight tonight. You can see potentially northwestern North Dakota could even see some dangerous supercell thunderstorms because the supercell composite values are pretty high. We're talking about 40 out of 50. So that could be potentially damaging. We could even have potentially several supercells. And then tomorrow, you can see this is 2 a.m. in the morning. By tomorrow, it's more of a patchy threat. We could have some supercells through central South Dakota, but other than that, there won't be too many supercells tomorrow. We could still have some dangerous thunderstorms tomorrow, but definitely more widespread supercell composites for overnight tonight as opposed to tomorrow afternoon. But let's look at the significant tornado parameter. What are our chances for some really dangerous tornadoes? Northwestern North Dakota, we can see some of that, as well as over here in central Minnesota, as well as western parts and central parts of Nebraska, as well as the northwestern corner of South Dakota. We do have some high significant tornado parameter values, meaning we could have a higher threat because of the conditions that we do have for development. We could even have some dangerous tornadoes. Updraft helicities. We know that downdrafts, the rain and the wind can really come down, hits the ground, spreads out, and that's how we get our downdraft. But In order to have that, we got to have an updraft. So what are the updraft helicities? Those stronger updrafts can really lead to the stronger downdrafts. And you can see, look at this. It's basically almost like a line here from basically northwestern South Dakota to western parts of North Dakota. We have some very high updraft values that can lead to some strong downdraft values, and that would in turn increase our rain and wind threat from these severe storms. Tomorrow night, we do have more updraft helicity values for North Dakota, South Dakota border, as well as eastern South Dakota into Minnesota. All right, so this is the surface-based CAPE, as well as showing the turning of the winds with height, because we know that's how we can get those storms to rotate and potentially produce our tornadoes. All right, so let's take a look at that now. All right, so again, you can see the CAPE like I showed you earlier. That's just part of the map. But as you can see, as we head through overnight tonight, actually, let's go a little bit before that, when the storms start to hit. This is about 11 p.m. You can see surface winds in south central North Dakota, northwest South Dakota. We have winds coming out of the southeast at the surface. Yet, at 5,000 feet, we have winds coming out of the south. So that's all you need. Those turning of the winds with height right there can really get those storms to rotate and produce those tornadoes. Now, before we move on to the high-resolution model, we're going to take a look at the Weather Prediction Center map. Kind of similar to the Storm Prediction Center map, except this time we're talking about excessive rainfall. And we have to understand what the Weather Prediction Center maps mean, too. All right, so again, if it's no area label, means flash floods generally aren't expected. But we could still see, isolated spots of flooding. But when you start to get marginal, that's when you can see isolated flash floods possible. Localized and primarily affected places that can experience rapid runoff with heavy rainfall, like areas that you typically see flood in any general rainstorm. Those areas could possibly flood. But when you move up to slight, we start to see a little bit more numerous flash floods that's scattered as opposed to isolated. So they're still mainly localized floods, but the most vulnerable areas are those urban areas, those roadways, those small streams and creeks. And we're saying scattered flash floods, but isolated significant flash floods. So we're adding the word significant there. And you can just see the pictures that we can have under those bridges and overpasses. We see like a little drop in the road and it comes back up. Some areas that can really flood as well. I mean, if you take a look at the Hurricane Harvey pictures, one of the major throughways, major interstates, I mean, the road was going downhill and then it came back up. Well, that's where that water really built. All right, and that's what really can happen here. So let's take a look at our excessive rainfall threat for today. In the northern plains, we have a marginal risk, but the main threat of excessive rainfall will be well to the east of where the severe weather threat is. So we're talking about the Great Lakes, Tennessee Valley, up through the Great Lakes, and northeastern northern plains. We're talking about basically the upper Midwest and the Great Lakes. You have the best threat for some even marginal to even slight risk of some excessive flash flooding, some excessive rainfall. As we head to tomorrow, you can see there we are. We're starting to see that slight risk build up in North Dakota now, again, as well as the Tennessee Valley and southern portions of the Ohio Valley. Now, here's the high resolution model. We'll be taking a look at this, kind of going through the same maps that we did with the A3CAM model, but again, it's always nice to have a sort of another take on it. So keep in mind, we have another surface low here as well, 991 millibars of pressure. That can really raise that wind threat. That's usually what happens with these thunderstorms here. All right, so here we go, moving through tonight. All right, we start to see some thunderstorm complexes build tomorrow. Oh, actually, I should say really overnight tonight into tomorrow. This is 11 p.m. You can see almost like a hook, kind of like a hook echo forming here through western North Dakota. Some of that thunderstorms do spread down into western South Dakota and eastern Wyoming. But notice what happens. That really powerful low pressure system really builds across northern Nebraska here. And in turn, we do have some thunderstorms that could still be developing here in the morning, but they will be weakening. And then as we head to tomorrow, notice how that low pressure system is really close to the area of thunderstorms. So when the closer the low is to those area of thunderstorms, the stronger they become. Because if you have the low pressure system over here, and you may have the thunderstorm complexes like that are well over here, they're a little bit more weakening. The thunderstorms are usually weaker because they're farther from that low pressure system. It doesn't really get those energy from that low pressure. And since the low is right near those area of thunderstorms, that can really give these storms some punch. So watch out tomorrow afternoon into tomorrow night. We could see some stronger storms again across North Dakota, even down through South Dakota, and eventually into Minnesota and Iowa. Now, again, taking a look at the dew point values here, let's take a look at those. And again, as we head through the day today, we really get that heating of the day, and we have our high dew point values. And look at this, right? here, right in the northeastern corner of South Dakota, our dew points are actually going to hit 80 degrees. That is absolutely just that's excessively just muggy. Like I can't. There's no word like gargantuous. I can't even find a word to describe how oppressive. Because even 70. Trust me, I've been out in. I mean, I've been to the southeast. I mean, and that's where you can really find those humid conditions. I've been in some 70s, some mid 70s dew points, but 80, that's hard to come by. And yes, because of those high dew point values, we can really wring out those clouds like you wring out a dish towel, and that's why our excessive rainfall threat will be very high as well. All right, looking at our surface-based CATE, all right, how much instability do we really have? Eastern South Dakota, just like the NAM model said, 5,500 joules per kilogram. We definitely have a lot of that. In terms of the wind shear, remember, we need that wind shear to really get those storms rotating as long as we have those turning of the winds with height. And you can see here's our wind shear starting to build. We have some across central Minnesota, but the most amount of wind shear will be back towards the west, western North Dakota, western South Dakota, but back in Montana. But keep in mind, a lot of this wind shear is going to be coming after these storms are really passed by. All right, so let's take a look at these supercell composite values now. Again, and as you can see, right in that little area, right around that low pressure system that's starting to build, we got that little area that we can see some more intense supercells because it's right near that area of low pressure system, and the low pressure system can really help to give those storms some real energy and give them more of a punch. Maybe some more hail, maybe some more of a wind threat as well. Significant tornado parameters doesn't look too bad, all right, but we could still see like right here through northern central North Dakota down through central Nebraska, or excuse me, Minnesota, as well as northeastern Nebraska. Some isolated areas could even see some higher significant tornado parameters, meaning we could see some EF2 tornadoes, and even greater could potentially spawn. In terms of our updraft helicities, again, stronger updraft helicities may lead to those downdraft helicities being more significant. And as you can see, we do have some updraft values through Montana, but I don't see too many. There's not too much updraft through North Dakota, except for this one little patch right here. We can see some stronger updrafts with that air really rising to that atmosphere, the rising air motion. And we could even have some due today, tomorrow, but the high resolution model really keeps it, northern North Dakota into Canada, actually. All right, so, and finally, we take a look at our wind crossovers here. You can see, do we have those turning of the winds with height? And the answer is a definite yes, especially across eastern North Dakota. You got your winds coming from the east-southeast at the surface, and from the south at 5,000 feet. So we have even more turning of the winds with height than the NAM model describes. So that's where you can see your tornado threat. So stay aware, guys. If you're in the northern plains, upper Midwest, stay aware for some potentially dangerous severe weather for today and tomorrow. Hunker down, get to that. Make sure you have that safe shelter to get into. I am the Weather Dude, signing off. Until next time, catch you guys next video.